Hi guys, in today's video we will discuss two topics in C Sharp. First we will discuss basic of web development and then we will see MVC architectural pattern in C Sharp. So let's start with web development basics. Web development is a process of building website and web application. If we look at web development at the higher level, at a higher level, it includes creating the visual and interactive element of a website as well as the backend logic that powers the website. Then we can divide web development into three parts. Mainly we have two parts, then we have third things that we can include as well. So first thing, first component in web development is a front end. This is the part where user interact with. It includes HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code to create the user interface. So mostly we will use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript languages to create user interface. Then we have a backend. This is the server-side logic that handles things like data storage, processing, and writing and verifying the business rule. In C Sharp, the backend is typically built in ASP.NET or ASP.NET Core. Then most of the application need database as well. So to store the data and retrieve the data. So the third component we can include it as a database. Then there are many other components. Those are the optional things that some of the application can have it or they can not have it. It's depending upon your situation. You can include those components and utilize those based on your web application scenarios. So this is the basic of web development. Let's talk about MVC architecture. So now let's talk about MVC architectural pattern. The MVC pattern is a common architectural pattern used in web application or web development. It separates the application into three interconnected components. The first part is model. The model represents the data and the business logic of application. It is responsible for managing the data, including create, read, update, deletion of the data. So let me create one class to demonstrate the model in MVC pattern. I will just create one class. I will call it product and I will add three properties. One is to store ID, second one is to store name, and third one is to store price. So this is how you can define model, and this is the code that will represent the model in MVC pattern. So then next we have view. The view is responsible for user interface and user interaction. It displays the data from the model and handles user input or user interaction. So mostly in web application, when we develop the views, mostly it will have HTML file and it will have code related to HTML. Then we can add some styling using CSS and some and dynamic or some validation or submitting the form or those kind of stuff using JavaScript. But for now I will just create one more class. I will call it product view to just demonstrate the view in a console application. I will just create one method. I will call this method display product. It will receive argument product variable and it will simply display product detail. I will just display product name first, and then I can display price as well. This is a simple method to to demonstrate how or view part in CSharp. So for now we'll just consider this is the view part of our application. This is where user will this is the part to which is responsible to display the data and to get any user input if we want it from the user. Now let's talk about controller, the third part, third component of MVC pattern. The controller acts as intermediary between the model and view. It receives user input, process it, and update the model accordingly. It also selects a corresponding view to display the data as well. So let me create one controller for you to demonstrate the controller part in MVC pattern. I have just created one controller. I call it product controller. I will just create two variables. One is for product, second one is for product view. Then I will just create the constructor. I will just initialize these two variables. In product, I will just create one product, and then we can call its method to get or to display it on the in view part. I will just add some random name, and then I will just add some random price. I will call it 19 this. So this is how I will initialize my variable. Now I will have a method display product, and it will call underscore view display, and it will pass the product that we just initialized. In your example, you can get this data from the user as well, and then in next view you can display that by calling the view display product method. So these are the three parts in MVC. This is how we represent models. Then for simplicity, I have created one view that is just displaying the product detail, and then we have created one controller that will initialize one product and then display that product using the view method. Now I will just call this from our program.cs file. I will just create public class program, and then I will just create static void main method. Usually it takes string arrays as argument. That we will not use, but this is the way how we define main method in program.cs file. Then I will create one controller. I will initialize it to product controller, and then I will just call display product method using this controller variable. So now I can run this program. It will just take a couple of seconds to just building, and here we go. It displayed product name, example product, then the price. So this is how we can simply demonstrate MVC in console application. So we have the model part, then we have the view part, and then we have the controller part. So these are the two separate components that will not directly interact with each other, model and view. Then we have the component. The controller component is responsible for getting the data from the view and passing it to the model and vice versa. So this is the MVC pattern in C#. So in this example, the product controller class acts as intermediary between product model and product view. When the display product method is called, the controller retrieves the product data from the model and pass it to the view, which then display the product information. The MVC pattern helps to keep different components of the application separate and easy to maintain. So this is the key point that we have to note it. It will separate different component of the application so we can easily maintain application when it will grow. The model focus on the data and the business logic. The view handles the user interface, and the controller coordinates the interaction between the two. This is a simplified example, but the MVC pattern can be applied to more complex web application where the model, view, and controller component work together to provide a robust and well-structured web application solution. So this is it for today's video. Let's see you in the next one with another topic. See you. Bye bye.